There's a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt about the process of foreclosure and short sale. I'd like to take just a minute to explain what happens in the foreclosure process. When you originally signed to purchase your house, you told the bank that you would pay them a certain amount of money over a certain period of time at a certain interest rate, and they agreed to give you that money, but what they did was they used your house as the collateral in order for them to be able to give you the money. If you stop making your payments, the bank ultimately then has to foreclose or take back the collateral that they used in that transaction. But it is a process. In fact, that process is 190 days, basically from the beginning to end, and that's if it goes perfectly. The other thing you have to realize is that you have rights. It is a process. The bank just can't come and take your home because you've stopped making your payments. It is a process that's mandated that they have to follow in order to actually foreclose on your property. So the process typically goes as follows. You stop making your payment. You'll get a letter from the bank that says, hey, you haven't made your payment. Why don't you send that payment in and a late fee? We'll call it good, and we're back on track. If you then don't make your payment in the next 30 days, they send you a little nastier letter that says, hey, we clearly have a problem here. You need to make your payment. Typically at 60 or 90 days, they're sending you the same letter, only it has that little green card attached to it, certified to make sure that you had it. And they say, you need to get in contact with us because clearly we have a problem. And ultimately, customer service wants to talk with you about one thing and one thing only, and that is, how are you going to start making your payments again? Well, you may not have the capacity to pay. A lot of people encounter things in their lives that just happen. Good thing or bad things happen to good people, and it's okay. Quite frankly, 1 in 10 Americans right now currently doesn't have a job in this country, so things happen. After 90 days goes by, and you're around 120 days, you will receive a notice of default. Now that notice of default says you clearly are in default on your loan, and if you don't do something in the next 30 days, you're going to need, we're going to actually file the public version of that, which is called a notice of trustee sale. So around 120 days to 150 days, you'll actually receive then, if nothing is done and you're not in contact with your bank, an actual notice of trustee sale. That notice of trustee sale is actually recorded in the county that you're in. Therefore, it's open to public information. Because it's public information, you'll probably receive all sorts of letters from people trying to help you, lawyers, attorneys, credit counseling agencies, realtors that ultimately say, hey, we're here to help you. So it's very, very difficult to differentiate between the ones that truly have your best interest in mind versus the ones that have their best interests in mind. But once that notice of trustee sale is filed, you typically have another 3 months before your house actually is auctioned off on the steps of the courthouse. And that's literally what happens. Around 10 o'clock on Fridays, they go through and a bidder will say, hey, this house is up for auction. Are there any bidders? If there are, they potentially, if they can meet the minimum bid requirements, will actually purchase that house and then it becomes theirs. Or if there are no bidders, it actually reverts back to the bank. Once that happens, you then have a period of time, typically 20 to 30 days, to actually vacate that house from the point that it's been foreclosed on. The other key point to remember is that any time up to 11 days before the actual date of the auction, if you come in and bring in the money to cure the loan default, it actually is like nothing ever happened. You just literally pay them the amount that's in arrears, which is on your notice of default or your notice of trustee sale, and the loan gets reinstated, and then you continue on. So a lot of things can happen in that 190-day period. So the key thing is really understanding what your options are, and also how to communicate with the bank. What programs may or may not you qualify for. And it's important to really get in contact with a professional that can help you through that and really give you some good solid advice on how to go through the foreclosure process in a way that's really going to have the best benefit for you.